My ex showed up at my door wasted last night, and tomorrow he's supposed to be getting married, but now I don't know how or if I should warn his fiancée. I was with my ex for 2 years. It wasn't the best relationship, and when I moved for university, I took the opportunity to end things. There was no dramatic breakup, no huge betrayal, it was just me realizing I didn't want to be with him anymore. That was almost 5 years ago though. Since then I've met the love of my life, gotten engaged, and moved on in every way possible. Or so I thought. Last night at around 22 o'clock my doorbell rang. My fiancé and I were in for the night just relaxing, so neither of us were expecting anyone. When I opened the door, I honestly couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was my ex, and he was absolutely wasted. His bachelor party had been in my city, and instead of celebrating with his friends, he had somehow found his way to my apartment. My fiancé answered the door first, and as soon as my ex saw him, he just broke down. I mean full-on sobbing. Through his drunken rambling, he kept repeating that he couldn't believe my fiancé was real, whatever that meant. It was weird. But he wasn't aggressive, just a drunk emotional mess, so we let him in to at least get him off the street and figure out what the hell was going on. We got him to sit down, and at first, he just started emotionally vomiting before physically vomiting in our bathroom. In between dry heaves and his half-coherent rambling, he started going on about how he never really got over me, how he regretted treating me the way he did, and how he thought we could have worked things out if circumstances had been different. It was freaking surreal. I hadn't thought about our breakup in years, and here he was the night before his wedding losing his mind about it. He looked so lost, but at the same time, I felt nothing. Not nostalgia, not sadness, I was honestly just uncomfortable with the whole thing. He wasn't my problem anymore. Once he was done throwing up, we got him some coffee and waffles to sober him up a bit. He finally pulled himself together enough to call an Uber back to his hotel. Before he left, we told him to text us when he got back to make sure he was okay and didn't, I don't know, pass out in a ditch somewhere. He did end up texting us around 11:30 p.m. saying he made it back, and that was that. But the whole thing left me feeling weird. Like, dirty almost. Not in a guilty way, but just unsettled. It was bizarre to have this person from my past crash into my present in such a messy way, especially on the eve of his wedding. I'm thinking of contacting his soon-to-be wife? Or should I call him to encourage him to tell that to his fiancée? Or should I not do anything and let this just be an anecdote for my future? Edit. Thanks for all the feedback. It seems like Reddit is just as split on this as I am lol. Just because this kept coming up, my main goal with telling her is not for them to break up. I don't want that, and that's not why I would want to tell her. The reason for me telling her is solely that I would want to know if I was her. Nothing else. It's also not me bragging about him not being over me. That's not something I care about and wonder how some of you twisted it into that. Small update, after reading a lot of mixed advice, I decided that telling his fiancée was the wrong move. We aren't friends, and it wasn't my place. But his sister and I used to be close, so I sent her a message instead. I just told her she should check on her brother because he showed up drunk at my place, clearly distressed, and I wanted to make sure he was okay. She responded quickly, thanking me and apologizing over and over, saying he had been acting off for weeks leading up to the wedding. Then she asked if he had made it back to his hotel because no one had seen him. I told her he had Ubered back and texted me that he was in his room. She thanked me again, and that was the last I heard from her, until things got worse. A few hours later, she called me again sounding kind of panicked. Apparently my ex never showed up for his wedding. The groom was MIA and nobody knew where he was. At that point it was out of my hands. Telling his fiancée was no longer a question, he had made that decision for himself. Update, 10 days later, so. He bailed. Fully, completely bailed. Days after disappearing, he finally contacted his ex-fiancée and broke off the engagement. His sister called me to fill me in. Apparently after his meltdown at my place, he left his hotel at some point and just disappeared. No one knew where he went until days later when he reappeared, in France. Yes, France. No one knows what he was doing or why he went there, but that's where he resurfaced before finally calling his ex to call off the wedding. His fiancée ended up reaching out to me too. She was initially pissed because his best man told her that my ex had come to see me. She thought we had hooked up, which was honestly the last thing I wanted to deal with. After some explaining, she realized nothing happened and she calmed down. She was heartbroken, obviously, and I felt bad for her, but there wasn't much else I could do. We apologized to each other and wished each other the best, and that was the end of that. But then his sister called me again later to apologize, because my ex had apparently stolen one of my lipsticks. I hadn't even noticed, but apparently he admitted to it. She felt so bad that she sent me money to buy a new one. I told her it was fine. I said I was not mad and asked her how she was and how his ex-fiancée was. On their end, everything is a mess. Everyone is mad at him. I don't know many more details and was kinda not willing to ask. But yeah, that's it. Relevant comments. Commenter, he stole a lipstick? A freaking lipstick? What? Who does that? It's so bizarre it's funny. Stealing a lipstick of all things. And then his sister sending you money for it. Thanks for the laugh. OP, our guess is that he just grabbed the first thing he knew was mine, that was small enough to fit in his pocket.